Everyone remembers Total Eclipse of the Heart, but there's a second song, a B-side hiding on the flip of that record, that connects Bonnie Tyler to another rock legend in a way most casual fans never even noticed. When Bryan Adams heard that Bonnie Tyler had died, he didn't post a long statement. He didn't need to. Just a few lines on social media, thanking her for something specific, her version of one of his own songs. And buried in that short message is a story about two artists, one song, and a musical partnership that quietly ran for years. Today I'm breaking down Bryan Adams' tribute to Bonnie Tyler, the real history behind the song he thanked her for, and just how deep their musical connection actually went. Stick around, because by the end you'll understand why this short, simple post from Bryan Adams says more than most lengthy celebrity tributes ever do. Following the news that Bonnie Tyler had passed away at age 75, Bryan Adams took to his official X account and posted a short, direct farewell. He wrote, "Dear Bonnie Tyler passed today. She had such a great voice, and I'll always be grateful of her beautiful version of Straight from the Heart. Thanks, Bonnie, R.I.P. No long paragraph, no polished press release language, just a musician, in his own words, thanking another musician for something specific she once did with a song of his. That word choice matters. Adams didn't just say he admired her voice in general, or that she was a legend, which would have been true but generic. He picked one specific thing, her cover of his song, and thanked her for it directly, by name, decades after she recorded it. That's the kind of detail you only include if it genuinely mattered to you. And if you go looking, this tribute fits into a much bigger wave of grief that hit the music industry within hours of the news. Rod Stewart performed an emotional live tribute the same night. Sir Cliff Richard called her a wonderful friend gone too soon. Catherine Zeta-Jones said her heart was broken. Even the British Prime Minister and the First Minister of Wales issued official statements. Bryan Adams' post was smaller in scale than some of those, but it pointed to something the others didn't. An actual piece of shared musical history most fans have forgotten about. So what exactly is Straight from the Heart? It's a song Bryan Adams co-wrote with Eric Cagna, and it became the lead single off his 1983 album Cuts Like a Knife, the record that turned Adams from a promising Canadian rocker into an international name. Straight from the Heart was the song that kicked that whole breakthrough into motion, climbing high on the charts and establishing the sound Adams would build his career on. Big, emotional, radio-ready rock. Now here's where it gets interesting. That same year, 1983, Bonnie Tyler recorded her own version of Straight from the Heart. She included it on her album Faster Than the Speed of Night 1976, which, if that title sounds familiar, is the exact same album that contained Total Eclipse of the Heart. In several regions, her cover of Straight from the Heart was actually released as the B-side to Total Eclipse of the Heart itself. Think about what that means. Millions of people who bought that single, flipped the record over, and heard Tyler's version of a Bryan Adams song without necessarily even clocking whose song it originally was. It became this quiet, embedded piece of music history, sitting on the back of one of the biggest hits of the decade, connecting two artists whose paths might not have obviously crossed otherwise. For an artist as early in his career as Adams was in 1983, having a singer of Bonnie Tyler's stature record and release his song on the flip side of what would become a generational hit was a real vote of confidence. It's the kind of thing a young songwriter doesn't forget. Here's the part that really shows this wasn't a coincidence or a one-off cover. The connection between Bryan Adams and Bonnie Tyler kept going. In 1986, 3 years after Straight from the Heart, Tyler recorded another song written by Adams, this time co-written with his longtime songwriting partner Jim Vallance. The track was called No Way to Treat a Lady, and it landed on her album Secret Dreams and Forbidden Fire. So by the mid-1980s, Bonnie Tyler had recorded not one but two songs connected to Bryan Adams' songwriting, years apart, across two different albums. That's not an artist randomly picking up a B-side. That's a working relationship, singer-writer, an ongoing trust between a songwriter and a singer who clearly understood how to deliver his material. It's worth remembering the era this happened in too. The early to mid-1980s was an incredibly competitive, star-studded moment in rock and pop, synth-driven ballads, huge choruses, big-budget videos. For Tyler to keep returning to Bryan Adams' catalog during that stretch says she saw something in his songwriting that fit her own voice. That raspy, powerful instrument that was busy conquering the charts with Total Eclipse of the Heart and Holding Out for a Hero at the very same time. It's worth zooming out here, because Bryan Adams and Bonnie Tyler's careers were moving through the exact same moment in music history, just from different starting points. 1983 was the year everything changed for both of them. That's the year Adams released Cuts Like a Knife and became a genuine international rock star. It's also the year Tyler released Faster Than the Speed of Night, the album that gave her total eclipse of the heart and made her the first Welsh artist ever to top the US Billboard Hot 100. Two career-defining albums, released the same year, and somehow their material was already crossing over on that very same record. Adams would go on to become one of the defining voices of arena rock through the 80s and 90s, with songs like Summer of '69 turning into permanent classic rock radio staples. Tyler, meanwhile, kept building her own catalog of anthemic hits, kept touring for decades, and kept returning periodically to songs written by people she respected, including, twice, Bryan Adams. That's really what this tribute represents. Not two artists who crossed paths once at an awards show and exchanged pleasantries. Two artists who at the exact moment they were both breaking through, ended up on each other's records, and who, more than 40 years later, one of them is still publicly thanking the other for it. When you put Bryan Adams' tribute next to everything else that's come out since Bonnie Tyler's death, it fills in a piece of the story that a lot of the bigger headlines miss. Most of the coverage around her passing has focused on the obvious things: total eclipse of the heart, the Rod Stewart tribute, the health battle that led to her death in Portugal. All of that matters. But Bryan Adams' short post is a reminder that Tyler's musical footprint went well beyond her own biggest singles. She was actively recording other songwriters' material throughout her most successful years, choosing songs carefully, and building relationships with artists like Adams that lasted well beyond a single studio session. It also says something about Bryan Adams himself. He didn't need to post anything at all. Tyler's death was already major international news, covered everywhere from the BBC to Deadline to People. But he chose to, and he chose to make it specific and personal rather than generic. In an industry full of copy-paste tribute statements, that kind of specificity stands out. So next time you hear Total Eclipse of the Heart, it might be worth flipping the record, so to speak, and remembering there was a whole other song riding along on the back of it, a Bryan Adams song, sung by Bonnie Tyler, that quietly connected two of the biggest voices to come out of the early 1980s. Thanks, Bonnie, R.I.P. 6 words, but 40 years of history behind them. If you want the full story on Bonnie Tyler's life and legacy, or Rod Stewart's emotional live tribute the night of her death, I've got full videos on both, the links up on screen and in the description. Hit subscribe if you want more of these deep dives into the real stories behind music's biggest moments. See you in the next one.